From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello, everybody, and welcome to ParksCenter, the weekly news show where we go over the top 7 stories from the past week. My name's Ben, and joining me on the show tonight, we have Whitney.
Hi.
Nathan.
Sivako, I stole it.
Jill.
Hello.
And Allison.
Hey, everyone.
All right, let's get things rolling tonight with our first topic, plans for Paris. So Disneyland Paris got a lot of news this past week about all of the details coming with their planned refurb. So some of the big headliners here, we've got PhilharMagic being imported there, and I'm going to butcher the French here. Mickey et son orchestre PhilharMagique. The Disneyland Hotel is getting a big retheming in 2020. The Mark Twain Riverboat's coming back to the Riverboat Landing. And there's going to be a big update to Mystic Manor as well, along with a gigantic celebration for Mickey's 90th birthday and a new float themed to Phantom Manor. There's a ton of details in this article. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. What do people like about this that I'm not talking about?
I'm just so glad that they're investing at all in this park and heavily. I guess I'm a little confused as to why PhilharMagic was chosen of all the things to import over there, but I'm sure there was some testing as to the European audience or something. They might most really like that. But it's a beautiful park and it really doesn't get enough investment, so it's just nice to see the Disney throwing some money that way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Nathan. Totally agree. I thought it was weird that of all things they're getting PhilharMagic. But I would really like to see what they do with it. I am a huge proponent of refurbing Orlando's PhilharMagic. I think it definitely needs an update. So I'm hoping that we might get some kind of preview of what an update in Disney World might look like.
Yeah, Jill stole what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I stole the intro. So yeah, no, I completely agree. I love PhilharMagic, but I find the footage currently, and this is not to say the animation, the actual footage itself to be abhorrent. It's really old and it looks very bad. And so my hope is if they're going to go digital or figure something out for France, they'll do the same for the American version, simply because they're doing the process already and they understand that it could be used and done. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that for the opening and the closing. I think the actual musical numbers look fine still, but from the day that it premiered, it looked kind of halo-y they import the opening and the closing from Walt Disney World that's like 13 or 15 years old. That would be very disappointing. But if they come up with a new one that looks better and is much more watchable without feeling a little dizzy with the 3D glasses on, and they bring that to Walt Disney World, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we shall see. At the least we can get a 4K. That would be, it seems like the simplest approach at the very least.
Yeah, if I have that in my living room, I think they should have that at least.
Yeah, something else, though, I think is part of the reason here. The entirety of the France Pavilion is just music and scenery, right? I mean, the music-based attraction going to France makes sense. Also, we got Lights, Motors, Action from them. We're just giving them something back that's fair trade.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Moving on a little bit to Animal Kingdom, taking second place in attendance for the first time ever this past year. We got numbers on park attendance for all the parks this year, with Magic Kingdom being Magic Kingdom came in first, Animal Kingdom came in second, Epcot in third. Which, I mean, not a massive surprise, given how successful Pandora was, but this is still a bit of a record-setting event. Do we think it's going to keep these numbers? Do we think this is going to keep going, and the Animal Kingdom is now the second park?
For now.
There's a little thing. There's a little thing opening up in 2 years, a little less than 2. that will make for sure that that's not going to be the case. But I think it's well deserved. I think that Animal Kingdom has kept its theme. I think it's the purest theme park still to its original kind of make. So I think they deserve what they get, and I'm very proud of being a real Animal Kingdom devotee to see the numbers show that matters. But no, I mean, the moment Galaxy's Edge opens, it's over and done with.
Definitely. I also think it's worth noting as you look at these figures that Pandora only opened at the end of May. So you really only have 7 months of Pandora.
7.
7 Animal Kingdom attendance numbers in this data. So you've got those first 5 months where Animal Kingdom was same old Animal Kingdom. So once we've got Pandora for a whole year, I think that will hold true for 2018, even despite Toy Story Land opening. But absolutely, as Nathan said, once a little thing called Star Wars Land opens, all bets are off. Even despite the fact that Studios has a smaller capacity than Animal Kingdom or Epcot, I don't think that's going to matter. It doesn't matter for the Magic Kingdom that has a more limited capacity than Animal Kingdom as well, and it still is #1 park in the world. So.
All right. Well, how about this for a little bit of an alternate take on this then? Once we've got Guardians Coaster open in Epcot, we'll have Star Wars Land have opened for a while, but who's going to be ahead at that point? Is Animal Kingdom still going to be beating out Epcot, or do you think that might push things a little bit?
Man, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it'll push back to Epcot. I think Pandora, even though it's very immersive and a very neat experience, it's so small, just the Pandora land itself. And I think that Epcot, even by next year, could be back on top of Animal Kingdom, because I think the excitement of Pandora is going to wear off.
Yeah, but we'll see if a certain Dr. Jones ends up showing up in Animal Kingdom or not.
Sure. If that happens, then Animal Kingdom might stay on top.
And if I understand Pandora is definitely small, it's a very valid point. But I think the wearing off will be buffered by additional Avatar movies and whatever else they're making coming out. So I think that will, be some shots of life back into that land, even when the original novelty has worn off.
Yeah, I would say also the one thing when we look at these numbers for this last year, we have to remember that Hollywood Studios is worth nothing to go to right now. I know there's people who really love it, but at the same time, if I had a choice, and I'm coming from Iowa, and I had to choose a 3-day experience and had to knock out one of those parks, it's gonna be Hollywood Studios over any of the other three or the other three. Yep. So I think that really does impact the numbers as well.
Yeah. So something else though that might impact Epcot's numbers going forward is the Space restaurant opening up relatively soon. Let's see if I can get some details on that pulled up for you folks. But we got a lot more about what's actually coming inside of this restaurant. So guests will enter the venue through the far right side of the Mission Space facade where FastPass used to be. And you're going to be essentially taking hydrolators to space. The very similar experience to what used to be in the Living Seas. Big old tube travel up to the space station, and then you will be in a 2-level dining area, which I'm a little surprised that we're getting a 2-floor restaurant. I think that's kind of cool. Over 400 seats, but only 12 at the bar, so not really somewhere where you're going to be going to drink all day. But
you've got
definitely looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, we got the Helto comment to help for that. Yeah.
I love the throwback to Seabase Alpha with the hydrolators. It's nice to see some touches like that thrown in for some people who have a lot of nostalgia for Epcot like I do. I was really surprised at how large the restaurant looks. I'm not sure if the 2-level, I could be confused. I wasn't sure it was going to be like a 2-story thing, or if it would be kind of like a Coral Reef restaurant where they're like graduated seating, like tiered seating.
Yeah.
So that's what I assumed it was, but it's still like whatever it is, it's like going to be an enormous restaurant, which is great because it needs to have a really high capacity to anywhere near keep up with demand. And I think this is going to be the new, okay, you're your 6 months before your scheduled trip at 6 a.m. You're waking up to try to make your reservations just like you would be for Be Our Guest or for Cinderella's Royal Table. So this is going to be the new, like, difficult to get dining.
Yeah,
and warranted.
real quick, I do want to correct myself. Allison's right. It is just a 2-tiered. It's not necessarily like multiple floors on top of each other. It's just different levels.
That's still massive, though.
For sure.
I'm excited for it. I love the idea that we're getting another themed restaurant in Disney World. I think there are nowhere near enough of those in the resort as a whole. And I agree with everything. I'm very excited about it. I think it is going to be a high demand. Every kid is going to want to go eat in space. I just hope the food is good and makes
better than astronaut food.
Better than Tony's Town Square in space.
You have rock bottom expectations about that food.
Do we have any idea how many seats are in Coral Reef? I'm curious how much they're replicating design-wise.
I think this is going to be like 4 times as many seats.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Coral Reef's not that big.
No.
It does feel like they're replicating a lot of the design where it's just going to be the screens with this, space projections on them instead of the actual aquarium walls.
And that's going to work well for visibility purposes. No matter where you're sitting, you're going to be able to have a good view of the screen.
But I also will say, I keep hearing people saying, oh, we can have Star Wars and we can have Guardians and we can have Stitch on go by on these screens.
And Wall-E.
I want none of that. I want it to be, if it's supposed to be themed like Mission Space, it should be very realistic and not to be sort of, oh, hi, I'm flying by.
Gary Sinise drifting by.
Yeah. That's where he went. Oh!
He's in space now.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Oh, goodness.
I agree. I don't know if I think that'll happen just because of the push to put IPs into Epcot.
Yeah, hopefully not. We'll see.
Yeah.
So speaking of things that got pushed out the airlock, Main Street Theater has been confirmed to be no more. This was originally just, I believe, a rumor with a very strong basis, but we now have it confirmed that Main Street Theater is completely and totally canceled because we have seen planning permits that prove that. So
because
right around here is where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, but where's that
one there on the map?
Bill just thumbed it up for us.
We've
is
shrunk that back a bit.
Right. Isn't that money going elsewhere though for good things? It's not like it's just going back into Scrooge McDuck's vault.
Yeah, the understanding is that it was the money needed to be used for the new monorails.
Right, which is a
also-
way
That's
better
okay.
use.
Yeah.
Oh, if absolutely. I'm sad that this isn't happening, but I feel like any Disney fan worth their salt would understand that monorails are a far more important choice to make than this theater.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we'll see this idea come back for sure.
I hope so. Yeah.
They've got to. I mean, sometimes I'm there and I want to destroy half of Main Street and just push it back 12 feet. Like it don't have to do much more. But they need. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it end up being like another tiered Main Street entrance or something. Because when you're in there, it is neck to neck all day long. There's just no way around it, and I think they're going to need some extra space.
Yeah, that was my one hesitation about this project was the fact that you're putting a theater with a large crowd capacity in a place that already is very bottlenecked. And so when that theater empties, where are those people going to go?
I imagine it would have went out the other way.
Yes.
Like, what, into Tomorrowland, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, assumption.
Yeah, but how can you dump people into Tomorrowland from Main Street? Like thematically, that just doesn't work.
The show's Wall-E. I don't know. They'd figure it out. They don't care.
You take hydrolators out of the theater and into space.
I mean, you do go to a hub. I mean, it works if they wanted to do it. We wouldn't complain. We'd be happy to have that theater.
Did we ever really find out what was even going to be in this theater? I think we just knew that there was a theater being built for something.
Big show.
I think
right?
at D23, the description was like Broadway style shows. So I think it was supposed to be much higher quality shows than they typically have in theme parks. And I think there's definitely a space for that. I'm not super into shows when I go to theme parks generally, so it wasn't the thing that I was most clamoring for after D23. But yeah, it would have been nice to have, especially in Central Florida. There's not a ton of excellent venues for live theater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the more AC, the better.
Oh, for sure.
I was
I
definitely
agree with
looking
that.
forward to something of a Nemo caliber going into the Magic Kingdom. I really want that to happen at some point in time.
Yeah, I would be
I just
surprised.
wanted to have a genie from the Aladdin show in California to come down here. That was so good.
Yeah, and I think that's what they would have done. I wouldn't be surprised if they would have copied something like Aladdin or Frozen.
Mm-hmm. Not Frozen.
We have
Please,
enough
not
Frozen though.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we
We don't
do.
need
like that.
Agreed.
Frozen. I still miss Tarzan.
Me too.
Bring Tarzan back.
There we go. Get it trending on Twitter. Hashtag bring back Tarzan. But moving on to a different kind of show in Magic Kingdom. So after the fireworks, we're now going to be getting a dessert party. It looks like we've had dessert parties like kind of before and during the fireworks for a while, but coming soon we're going to be able to have our dessert afterwards instead.
Because money.
Because money, right? Let's have another thing.
And look at the price point on this for adults. It is
$69 for adults and
$69.
$70 for with tax. It's gonna be over $70 for an adult to buy a ticket to for a dessert party. When the one day entrance fee is $125 to Magic Kingdom. So it's just like it's an insane amount of money.
It's some stuff right there.
Is that much more than other dessert parties though?
No, I think they're all terrible.
Yeah,
they're
all a bad value. I agree.
And someone on our Twitter asked if this is just recycled food from the Happily Ever After fireworks dessert party.
Well, so here's what happens. There's a pre-fireworks dessert party at the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people at that party either move to the Plaza Garden or to the Tomorrowland patio, the terrace patio for the fireworks viewing, and then they leave. So these people are either going to be in the Plaza Garden, and then after the fireworks are over, they move into Tomorrowland Terrace. So they're basically just turning over one dessert party right after the other.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's fine. You know what? I'm always getting something to eat after the fireworks anyway, because what are you gonna do? Get on a ferry? Like
stand in an hour-long line to get on the monorail to get back to your resort or back to the TTC.
Yeah. So
here's my only question about it. Why I'm struggling to understand how families will want to take children to cram them full of dessert at 9:30 p.m. That's what I don't understand.
What a great idea.
I mean the fireworks are over at like 9:30, 9:35, and then you go eat all you can eat dessert.
Yeah, but you're cramming them with dessert at what, like 8 before?
Yeah, it's not that much better. Agreed.
There will be parents who do it.
Oh, totally. And I mean, for the people who can't get the dessert party before the fireworks because it's booked, they at least have another option now. Yeah.
Is that really what this is? Just for if the other one's booked, here you go, I guess.
It's because money. It's here's another way we can make $69 a person off people.
And apparently, it's done so well that they see a need for it. They would not do this if they didn't see like an influx of people who they can't serve. So,
well, and I don't necessarily know about that. I think that they might be willing to try this as like an exploratory thing, because if it fails, they really don't lose that much.
No, because they're turning over the same location.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that if literal 0 people book this, they just don't do it. And they're out zero money.
Yeah.
Moving on from there to Twitter baited is what we're calling this. So we got a tweet, or I should say everybody got a tweet from Walt Disney World today. Let me pull that up. We're shining the spotlight on a new sweet treat at Disney's All-Star Movies Resort, the Scene Stealer Cookie Milkshake. Pick up one up today. It says today.
It says today twice. Read that tweet. Yep. It says today twice.
Up today in a souvenir mug today. Just in case you missed it, it really is today.
Yep.
It wasn't today.
Nope.
we went down and we saw nothing on the signage about this. We went and talked to the cast members. They didn't know about this. We got a manager. The manager knew that this was coming, but the souvenir mug had not arrived yet and had no idea of why it was being advertised as today, let alone today twice. However,
I have a story as well about that. I
go
had
for
the
it.
same thing happen. We went to go do Diamond Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We brought this up last week.
yeah, and believe me, I love it's an hour drive. I'm not complaining necessarily. I am complaining a little bit because I did Haunted Mansion and then Diamond Horseshoe. Was going to feel like an hour and a half, not necessarily, but I gave it that much time before my next fast pass, and lo and behold, the menu's not changed. We don't do anything, and so I end up going home and end up stuck in crashed car traffic, not my car, but others, for 2.5 hours. So a great day. Thanks, Disney. I appreciate your blog being correct.
Perfect example of how this directly negatively impacts guest experience when they get it wrong on their social media. Perfect example.
And there's another example in the same article of them getting another thing wrong. The churro ice cream sandwich, which granted they didn't say today in here at all, but they posted this on 4/28, and if you went over to try and find this food item, it just simply was not there yet.
Do they think that the internet's not a thing where people are at the parks and see a thing and then decide, oh, I'm going to go do that
I'm
thing?
gonna go get it. Yeah.
Like, I cannot fathom how poor of communication. I teach communication. I should know this. Like how poor your communication has to be to not know exactly when things are going on. Because when we went to Diamond Horseshoe, they said, oh yeah, it's next week. And we were like, well, then what? Like, send out a tweet or something. Like, and maybe they did. But there must be a whole Twitter only for corrections from WDW.
Redaction.
Yeah.
WDW today, redacted. Here, yeah, I completely don't understand how this has happened so many times. Once or twice, I can understand, but especially with the food stuff, that seems to be the biggest place where this occurs. There were a number of times when they had all those rose gold treats that they released a month or so ago, and half of them, when our staff went to go get them, they weren't out yet and might not be out for days. And it just blows my mind how they didn't realize this is a problem. We need to do something about this and figure out a strategy to fix it. But it keeps happening over and over again. And you know, it can impact if you want to go to All Star to get a milkshake, it can take you an hour plus to get there from wherever you are, and then you just wasted all this time that, you know, we all know.
And you're
when
stuck
you go
at
to
All
Disney,
Star.
and you're stuck at All Star. There's not anything else there to do. That's all you went for.
And then who's proofreading? It's not just like, okay, the facts are
I think
also
he said
wrong.
poop reading, and I'm going to say you're right.
Who's proofreading the tweets? Because like, it's one thing to just be factually inaccurate all the time. It's another and maybe get it wrong, but then it's another thing like you're just just shooting them out there. But weirdly, the photos are lovely. So whoever's taking the photos is on point. It's like the person that's actually doing very simple sentence writing.
Here's my question. Who's making these things that they're taking the picture of if the people who are working at some of these restaurants don't know that these things exist?
Yeah, to answer that question, didn't they get made for our reporter on the scene?
Yeah.
Yes.
By management. So
yes, they made them the milkshake.
But not in the souvenir mug.
No, the souvenir mug's not even.
Where did they get that souvenir mug? Where do these things come from if the people who work there don't know that?
Cardboard box in
They're
storage.
test products.
Yeah.
All right, and our final story for the night. We had a rather popular editorial that was written this week by one Nathan. I don't know who that guy could possibly be.
I don't know, but he's talented.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. 5 rules for annual pass holders at Walt Disney World. And the editorial goes into details essentially of a lot of somewhat common sense rules about what you should be doing if you are an annual pass holder that kind of frequents the park to the point that it becomes your third place. as opposed to work or home. This is where you go to hang out with friends and things like that. I honestly really liked this article. I personally am not a Florida local, so I really can't make the parks my third place. But I've been an annual pass holder for my local Six Flags before, and I know for sure the same rules apply there. Especially the bits about watch what you're talking about and who you're near, because I have definitely heard people or overheard people talking about things that probably shouldn't have been talked about in a theme park or an amusement park even.
Yeah, I think this is really useful, but I think also we should talk about some strategies to like combat becoming that guy in the theme park. And I don't live in Central Florida anymore, but I did for a while. And one of my favorite things to do is to bring a first timer.
Yeah.
And if you get to see the
Mhm.
park and your favorite attractions through somebody else's eyes who's experiencing it for the first time, you're getting the full spectrum of how the art form was supposed to be experienced. And you can kind of lose that when it's your like 400th time on Pirates or something. And there's value to doing things over and over and over again, but like there's something special about somebody's first time. So I think that could go a long way to saving yourself from being that guy.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my reasons for writing it was because I went 4 times, 3 or 4 times as a kid, and then until last year, it was all YouTube ride videos and soundtracks and stuff to keep me occupied. And then I went with my wife a couple years ago. So coming in this year, I just realized how, and I don't even really like this word that much, but how blessed I was to get the opportunity to do it and to be there. And heck, you could, if you went to the Taj Mahal every Friday, you'd get bored of that too. Like you get this sort of complacency and you just get used to it. And I have to stop myself and sort of be like, you have no idea how important this day is for some people right now. And I think it was Marty
Yeah.
Sklar who said that, who said it's someone's first or only time. And it just seemed like a necessary sort of, for me, the drive of writing the article was those were the rules I wish somebody would follow if I was a first timer. And I'm not perfect. I definitely have written the article and pretty sure after that broke a rule. Most likely, especially being disgruntled at tourists. But
It's just so easy.
well, you just have to. It's a code. It's a creed that if flappers, as I put them, can live by, it's something.
I think a lot of this is really common courtesy. There were some comments that were basically like, yeah, but the tourist types need to be more considerate of, the pass holders, but really everybody just needs to be more considerate of each other. And I feel like that's an issue that extends well beyond Walt Disney World. That people just need to be a little bit nicer and stop and think, oh, my stuff is not more important than your stuff. We all have our stuff and we all need to give each other a little space.
Yeah, as Saint Paddington Bear says, if you're kind, the world will be right. Kind and polite, the world will be right. So I try to follow that.
Can we put that on a plaque at the entryway?
Yeah. Good words to live by there. On that note, I'm going to take us out for the night. Thank you, folks, for joining us for another wonderful episode of ParksCenter. Just a couple quick notes. A supersized See Ya Real Late is coming up on May 31st, starting at 10 p.m. For WIGS members only. That's our Patreon supporters. If you are not currently a WIGS member, I highly recommend you check us out. Patreon.com/WDWNT. You can get access to a whole bunch of stuff like See Ya Real Late and the post show coming up right after this for as little as $2 a month. It's pretty affordable, and you help keep our website running, and we really appreciate it. Also coming up relatively soon is a supersized ride rehab episode on Hollywood Studios. It's going to be coming out on June 7th. We'll be back next week where we'll be back to back with Around the Hub. But if you want some more Disney goodness tonight, Jeopardy is coming up at 10 p.m. and everybody can watch that. And if you are a WIGS member, scroll down just a little bit. Go ahead and click play now. We're going to be starting our post show right now. Thank you, folks, for joining us, and have a good night.